Fox 29 newsroom. This is breaking news. Now, normally we would not break in to show you cars rolling down I-95. But after 12 days of that section being shut down, causing all sorts of traffic problems, this is kind of big news. They're about to open up the north and southbound lanes, especially the one side first, coming up here in just about a minute or so. About an hour ago, we watched some first responders cross the southbound lanes first, and I think that's quite appropriate. These were the firemen and firefighters that were on the scene 12 days ago, about 6:20 in the morning when the fire broke out. Here's the first fire truck. I believe it's ladder 38 coming across the first two fire trucks. Then we had more first responders right behind the trucks, and then some of the contractors from the Buckley Company, their trucks rolled through there as well. So now let's find out who's going to be the first maybe civilian to go across it. Jeff Cole is out there on this section that has now been temporarily repaired. They still have a lot of work to do. Jeff, do you suppose people are kind of driving around maybe hoping to the first one to go across?
It could very well be. We were parked up there during the press conference that Fox 29 just broadcast live at about 10:30, and so we have crossed it. We have been across it, and frankly, it seems like any other bridge that you'd cross on I-95. What is different here, of course, is that I-95 through most of Philadelphia is 4 lanes.
Right.
As you get up to I-95 at Cutman, it goes to 3. They pinch you down to 3 lanes, and you cross what was the collapsed section of this bridge in a 3-lane highway with no shoulders there. Those 3 lanes, Mike, are 11 feet long. Normally, a lane on I-95 is 12. These are 11. It's allowed them to open the 6 lanes, 3 going south, 3 going north. Now, let's check the clock here. Just after 12, we should be able to look up on 95 South. That's directly behind me now, and this road should, in fact, be open. 95 South is to open first. It should be open now. They said it would open at noon, and then the north section will open at about 2 hours later, they said, about 2 o'clock.
So it's 12:01 and 41 seconds, so you should be seeing some cars coming by fairly quickly. Have they had barriers up stopping people, or just police vehicles stopping people? Do you know?
Well, prior to today, of course, people were pulled off 95, as you know, well in advance of the collapse. But today, of course, PennDOT had to give us sort of somewhat complicated directions to jump on to 95, and there were no barriers there. Now, as we were heading for the press conference site, which was right behind me, right at the collapse site, you did see motorists being pushed off 95 heading southbound because they have to get off, get on State Road behind me, go all the way down here, and then jump back on. But it did give us a sense of just how hard it's been for folks over these last 12 days or so. Once 95 collapsed, there were long lines of traffic. Of course, we were there to cover the event, so they pushed us to the left, and the state police guided us right in there. But clearly, Mike, clearly, this has been, in many ways, a very difficult traffic situation, certainly for the entire city. I'd ask our viewers to look behind me. I'm standing on Cotman Ave, but this is State Road behind me, and State Road is the off route. In essence, you jump off 95 above us here, you've got to get on State Road.
I think we saw one
all the way down.
I believe we saw a car.
Back on.
I believe we saw our first vehicle go across
there you go.
The southbound lane there. But this is still going to be an issue, because you're right. That's a pretty tight space there, and like you said, the lanes normally are 12 feet wide. These 3 lanes are 11 feet wide, so you've taken a foot off of that. That's why they're going to slow you way down to about 45 miles an hour top speed as you go through there.
Yeah. And that's an important point to make. Michael Carroll is the PennDOT secretary here. He's been here the entire time. Yesterday in a press conference they had at 12:45 at about 1 o'clock, and again today, if our viewers were watching, and again this press conference was up on the deck, he asked again motorists to go at 45 miles an hour. That will be the speed up there, and asked them to go slowly and be careful. Clearly, this is a far more narrow section of I-95 than what most folks will face as they come in and out of this section of highway. Remember, Mike, that there is what's called recycled glass aggregate that forms the basis of this repair work. They used it because it was incredibly strong, but also incredibly light. They apparently have some utility lines, a large sewer line in the dirt below 95, and they simply didn't want to crush it by putting dirt and stone as the fill, so they used this material by a Delaware County company that's produced in Eddystone. They trucked it up here, they dropped it, they boxed it in with what they call baskets here, and then built above it. There are a number of layers of pavement that they've put down, and this thing is moving, and we were up there. It looks like any part of 95 that you would ever be on, except it's just
Jeff,
a little tighter up.
We may have our second vehicle. Look at this.
Yeah.
It's hard to see because this PennDOT live stream is kind of jerky. So it's kind of hard to tell what. Well, now that person has stopped on the repaired roadway. Can you guys see that closer?
Mike,
Does it look like a police vehicle?
I think that CBS has...
It's certainly interesting in some sense that we're watching one or two cars across 95. What we learned during the 12 days from the collapse going forward is that 160,000 cars in a day cross this section of 95. So you get a real sense of how important 95 is as a transportation and economic link to our region. And frankly, it is very much why you saw the Federal Department of Transportation Secretary come here. It's why you saw Mitch Landrieu, a former mayor of New Orleans, come here. He's now Biden's infrastructure czar, was here today. The federal government has been very focused on this. And of course, Shapiro here a number of times. His guy, Mike Carroll, running PennDOT here a number of times. There was very real interest in getting this thing up and going because, of course, if you can't get trucks through, you can't get product through. And what does that do? Likely drive up the cost.
Yeah, 95, my gosh, it goes from Maine all the way down to Miami. So this is incredibly important. But like I said, it's still going to clog up because you have to slow down and go through this somewhat smaller opening now. This is bordering on watching paint dry. I really thought there would be a much heavier flow of traffic right off the bat.
Sure. Hey, but listen, you know what's interesting, though? I would say this, that the Shapiro press people have been really sophisticated, it seems to me, as to how they have put this out visually, how they have given information to the press. So just before the 10:30 press conference with Kenny and Governor Shapiro, Mayor Kenny, Governor Shapiro, and others, President Joe Biden called, and they made sure that we could get over there and hear the conversation. So let's play that for you. You're going to see Shapiro, Mitch Landrieu, the infrastructure czar for Biden, and they're going to hold a cell phone, and the president will actually talk to them.
All right, this cell phone conversation.
Hey, Mr. President, how you doing?
Hey, congratulations. You know, my directors kept moving heaven and earth to get this done, and you did it. And thanks to the grit and determination of those union workers. Doing shifts around the clock. I-95's opening well ahead of time. Congratulations, Gov.
Thanks, Mr. President. If I can offer a friendly amendment, I didn't do it. We did it. And you were awesome. I mean, every step of the way, you're checking in with us on the phone, flying over it. That hole you saw the other day is now filled. In fact, I just drove over it to get here. And it's a great example of what happens when we all work together. This is American grit and ingenuity and Philly's best here. So, Mr. President, can't thank you and Mitch and Pete enough. You guys have been awesome.
Well, you know, we got a lot more to do in the state of Pennsylvania. You got a lot more coming, so
that's right.
Looking forward to working with you, pal. You're great.
Mr. President, thank you so much. Be back soon.
Punch up the PennDOT
so
live
there it
stream
goes.
again. to see if there's any
there you go.
traffic
So,
at
Michael.
all. Zilch.
Yeah. Well, listen, and we know that the president has had a role here and interest here. He was in the city last weekend for a political event. It really was the first political event of his re-election, his attempt to be re-elected in 2024. He got a big union endorsement here in the city of Philadelphia, but what he also did is he got in a helicopter last Saturday with the governor and some other officials, Casey and Fetterman, and they flew over this thing and took a look down at it. That's what Shapiro was talking about when he said, thank you for your help and thank you for flying over. Clearly, this has been a large focus. And look, politics drives everything, doesn't it, in some ways? And so the president is running for re-election. This is the state of Pennsylvania. It is a swing state. Clearly, on political purposes alone, you don't want 95 to be collapsed and people have to go around it for months of this year and months into 2024. And at least for now, we know that won't happen.
Well, I can't see way down 95, but the state troopers must not be letting people through, or would we see people going onto this section of 95 now? So maybe a little bit of a holdup here.
Yeah, it probably is. Look, there are a lot of folks up there. It looks to us like, you know, there's a lot of planning around this thing. So maybe that is happening right now. But it has been quite, we've been covering this every single day. It has been quite an interesting kind of situation. We've learned a lot about how roads are built in a quick way.
Yeah, I wonder too just how many people feel confident going over it. I certainly would have no problem driving over it. So we'll see how this plays out. Well, if we're not seeing cars, I guess we should just go back to regular programming. What do you say?
Sounds like a good idea to me. Listen, real quickly, you know, I did press the Secretary of PennDOT, Michael Carroll, about safety. He had indicated to us yesterday that they needed to complete some safety measures and would, in fact, open over the weekend. By late in the afternoon yesterday, word came out that they would open it at noon, or supposedly open it at noon on the south side and at 2 on the north side. And we asked, is this safe? Did you speed it? They say, no, we're safe, we're ready to go, and supposedly it's happening.
Let's take one last look, see if there's any cars.
There's still workers on the road.
There's still workers out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're not quite ready. Well, they'll eventually get it open. We do have a camera there, so we'll watch when they finally start to flow. Oh, I see a worker right there on that fixed section, that temporary section, yeah. So they're not quite ready. All right, we'll get it open. We'll have a camera there. We'll have footage of it on our website, fox29.com, and of course, a complete report at 5, 6, 10, and 11. Oh, there goes a truck. Now, I don't know if that's part of the construction crew or what. And that's northbound. Okay, so that's probably part of the construction crew. All right.